Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. You have probably heard about Apple's AirTag product, a very successful tracking device that makes use of pretty much every installed iPhone in the world to keep track of a little tag's location. And there are lots of videos about how great that network is. But on the Android side, there really hasn't been anything as extensive as the Apple Find My network, and that's surprising given how many more Android phones there are out in the world. But that's going to start changing soon, and I've got one of the first tags here that supports the Android Find My device network. This is the Pebblebee clip, and it sells for about $30. And this connects up with the Android Find My device ecosystem. And theoretically, any Android phone out in the world that's been updated to look for these trackers will report back to Google the location of the tag, so you can track items with Android very similar to how you can do it on iOS. However, in my initial testing here, it's not working quite as well. But we're going to get into this in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that I paid for this with my own funds. All the opinions you're about to hear are my own. No one is paying for this review, nor has anyone reviewed or approved what you're about to see before it was uploaded. I'm going to go get rid of that fly that just flew in front of the camera 3 times, and we're going to get into what this device is all about. Now, the initial setup was not as seamless as I would have liked it to be. What happened was I had to uninstall the Find My device app from Google and reinstall it, and that finally got my phone to detect the presence of the clip. And I'm using a Google Pixel 8a that's been updated to the latest version of Android. So if you're having trouble getting this paired up, I would completely uninstall that Find My app and reinstall it. And once you do that, everything should get up and running for you. Like the AirTag, this communicates over Bluetooth. And all you got to do is just tap the top of it here twice. There's a button embedded there, and that'll put it into pairing mode. There is a battery on board, but it's not removable. It's rechargeable. So there is a USB Type-C port here at the bottom, and you can charge it up with any USB Type-C charger. They give you the cable in the box, but not the wall charger to charge it. But I think most of us have some kind of charger that can accommodate that these days. By comparison, the Apple AirTags and many of the generic ones out there all have replaceable watch batteries. So it is a little easier to work with this from a battery perspective. This will run, they say, about a year on a charge. But your mileage, of course, will vary depending on how often you have the thing beeping at you to find it and how often it might get lost. But by and large, I think the battery life will be pretty close to the 12 months that they're advertising under normal usage. Now, as you are setting up the Pebblebee clip, you will get a notification about responsible usage. Google is requiring all of these devices to notify people if the tag is following them around without the owner of the tag being with them. It's an anti-stalking feature, and Google is part of an industry consortium that will have these tags notify not only Android devices but also iPhones, and apparently the AirTags will be doing the same to the Android phones. So you won't be able to track these devices universally, but if you're getting stalked by somebody, it's going to notify you universally, at least if it's supporting the Android or iOS Find My networks. And this, of course, will apparently do that. Now, I did run a test where I had my wife travel around with this thing, with her knowledge, for 3 hours, and she went to a bunch of different things. I was not with her. She has an iPhone, and she did not get notified that this device was traveling around with her. So if that feature is to be part of this network, it doesn't appear to be working at the moment. Now, once you get the Pebblebee clip paired up with your phone, it will be on your list as something that you can keep track of. And if you tap on it, what you will get is this screen here, where the blurred section will have a map indicating the exact location of the tag where it was last picked up. You also get its battery life status, and you can also play a sound to track the device. And what's neat about how this one works is that when you go to play the sound, first of all, it is quite loud, but as you can also see, you get a light that shows up as well, which is not something you typically see on the Apple devices. So that's a neat little feature. It also has a somewhat limited location tracker as well. So when you get close to the device and you're looking for it, it will do a hot and cold thing until you get closer to where the device is. It doesn't have the level of granularity that the Apple version has, where you can use ultra wideband and get an arrow. But this is fairly close. You get a hot and cold kind of indicator, and then when you're close enough, you'll know that it's there. Now, because I have the Pebblebee here right next to my phone, the option to report the device lost is not currently on the screen. But if it was somewhere else, I could declare it lost, and then I will get a notification pushed to me when the device gets picked up somewhere on the Find My Android device network. And this is where it falls short, because there is a default setting on every single Android phone that I think significantly limits the effectiveness of the network. Let me show you what that is. Now, inside your Android phone's Find My Device settings, you will see an option here for Find Your Offline Devices. And when you tap into this setting, what you will see are two options for the network. And the default setting at the moment for every Android phone, as far as I can see, is that it's only going to participate in the network when the phone is in a high traffic area only. So if you are in kind of a suburban rural area like I am, there are lots of Android phones around, but there may not be enough to report the whereabouts of your device, because the default setting here is for most phones in less dense environments not to report the location of the things that they're coming in contact with. So in order to make this work as effectively as Apple's network does, you have to enable the non-default setting, which is with network in all areas. And I'm not sure how many people are going to go into this menu and spend the time to activate that feature. And when I sent this out with my wife, she was at a grocery store. She also went to a little art show at my child's art camp that was wrapping up this week. There was a lot of people around her, but I never got a notification or even a tracking ping of my device until she got home and my phone got near it again. And she, of course, is an iPhone user, so she didn't have an Android phone with her. And I suspect the reason why I was not getting the location of this tag is because any Android phone that was encountered was running on the default setting of high traffic only. So if you are in an urban environment, I think this will work fine. It'll work just like Apple's does. But by default here, I don't think it's going to work very well for people like me that are not in very densely populated areas. Now, one feature that I like quite a bit on the Apple side is missing on the Google one, which is a left behind notification. I did not find any option for that inside of the settings here. And what that does is that if you were to leave a bag behind with the tag in it, as you walk away from the bag, you get a notification to let you know to go back and get it. Right now, it doesn't look like that works on these tags. Another thing that doesn't seem to be working is RFID scanning. It supposedly will allow you to tap it against your phone like you can on an AirTag to get information about the owner when it's left behind. That did not work on either my Google phones or my Apple ones. So overall, this is a pretty neat little device. This is not waterproof, but they do have some other tags coming out that might be. And I do like how loud the speaker is. It's easy to hear if you're looking for it. I like that it's rechargeable. I like the lights on it. But I don't like at the moment the Google network because it's not as robust as it could be, especially in areas like mine where there's not that many people around. And if you were trying to track a pet that's running through a small town, you might have a really hard time doing it with this, but have much more success with an Apple AirTag. What I think should happen is that Google and Apple need to get together on the whole network, not just the stalking notifications, and make these things work universally, and that might improve things for everyone and, of course, make the marketplace more competitive. But that's not going to happen, and at the moment, I think the Google network is severely limited by the lack of phones that can report what they're seeing, because if there's not enough in a particular area, your tag won't be found. That's going to do it for this one. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.